Hello loves, welcome back to my channel. I am back again with another video, and today I am going to be talking about my March wrap up. So for the month of March, I read a couple of books. I actually did not even count. I think it's like 12 or 13 of them. Let's get into it because I have a lot of books to talk about and a lot of things to kind of touch on. And in this month, I actually had two books that I DNF'd, meaning that I did not finish them. And it was really disappointing because one of these I was looking, like I was literally so excited because I love this author. And that was Peony in Love by Lisa C. I've read Lisa C's other books, the Shanghai Sisters, and I loved him. So I was really disappointed when I read this one, and I literally only got not even halfway in, actually less than halfway in. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, I just could not finish it. I was trying to force myself to, and I just could not do it, and it sucked. So in Peony in Love, we have a main character named Peony who is living, I believe it's during the Ming Dynasty that she's kind of living her life. And she's like a really, I would say she's really secluded. She can't go out. She doesn't know the outside world. She cannot see like a man. Like, I don't know. There's just so many things. Like there's so many rules in her life. So there's this time where her dad brings in the opera called the Peony Pavilion, and Peony is really excited to see this. So her and all her cousins, her aunts, her mom, they're gonna go see it. Of course, they have to be in a really secluded spot because no one can see them and they can't see anyone. She is able to see the audience, and it's during this audience that she kind of sees this man, and she kind of just gets intrigued by him. And then later on in the story, she sees him in the garden and they kind of start to talk, even though she's really not supposed to. Not only because she's an unmarried woman and she's really young and she's not supposed to live that kind of life, but she's also in an arranged marriage. She's supposed to get married, I believe, in a couple of weeks. So it's really devastating to see her go through that. Let me just say up front that Peony was not my favorite character. She's a very sheltered person, and she's really, I want to say she's really selfish, honestly. And you can see that in her character in a lot of different ways, the way she talks to people, the way she sees people. And it's really sad because there was no point of me ever rooting for her. I was really disappointed in the way that her parents treated her, especially her mom. Her dad was actually really nice, but her mom was so, oh my god, it was crazy. I just could not comprehend that relationship that they carried. I guess where my problem started was there's this part in the story. This is the thing, I can't even say it without pretty much saying a spoiler, but there's this part of the story where things just completely take a turn, and I was just like, it did not have to get to that level. Like there was no point in that. If I don't know, you guys, I was just so disappointed. I cannot continue reading it. I kept trying to every single night. I kept grabbing it. I would literally read like 4 pages and I would have to stop. So I'm so sad that I was not able to finish that book, but maybe you'll like it. I don't know. I'm so sad that I didn't. So yeah, let's just move on to the next one. The other book that I was not able to finish is the Venom and Ecstasy by Shannara Williams, and this is the Passion and Venom Part 2, I believe. I don't know. I actually didn't write it down. But I read Passion and Venom because Colleen Hoover had kind of like gave Shannara a shout out in the book. So I was like, let me give it a try. Okay. I'm not a fan of like mafia styled books, especially when it's like mafia, like you fall in love with the thug or the main guy or whatever. Like those are just not my type of books. But I was like, let's give it a try. Who knows? Maybe there's more to it. There's not. The first book, obviously the main girl gets like kidnapped. It's part of the story, and she's living with this mafia guy. In the second book, I'm sorry if you guys have not read it, I would suggest that you guys skim forward because obviously the second book is a little bit of a spoiler to the first one. So in the second book, we have the main character Gia, who kind of had to go through a really hard thing in the first book, and in the second book, the main guy named, I don't know, but they call him El Jefe. The main guy named El Jefe, he is falling in love with Gia, and Gia is like, okay, he's falling in love with me. I think it's time for me to kind of backstab him because he killed my husband and he's doing all this stuff to me. So that's a whole moral of the story. And it just fell short for me. First of all, do not like Gia. I can care less about her. She's so freaking spoiled, and I just feel like she's stupid. Like she's the definition of being a dumb bee. And Then we have El Jefe, which is he's so fucking stupid. Like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't even be saying that, but I just cannot imagine any sort of like drug lord or mafia guy. I mean, I don't know anybody personally, but I just can't imagine being like this guy. And oh my God, let me just say that in all of these stories, it's really gruesome. They do talk a lot about murders and beheadings, so please be aware of that. There's also, and in the first book, there's also, see, I want to say it's rape because to me, it was not consensual. I mean, you're being like taken by a mafia guy, and now he's kind of doing all this stuff. And no, I'm sorry, but these books were not for me. And this second book was so stupid, and I was so done with her and him. So DNF. I think I only got like 20 pages in. I don't know. It was dumb. But yeah, so yeah, let's get into some books that I actually did read and liked. So I'm like looking through my list, and I'm actually really disappointed by a lot of the books I read. I did read a lot of really sucky books. So let's talk about a 3-star book for me. That's going to be Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. And I actually have never read this book. I didn't know anything about it. I was just kind of in the mood to read a Christina Lauren book, and this is one of those books that I had not gotten into, so I gave it a chance. This was actually an audiobook I listened to, and I didn't really care for the narrator of the story, especially when she was doing the manly voice. I just feel like it sounded like a smoker. So yeah, the story revolves around 2 main characters named Macy and Elliot that are childhood friends. So Macy's dad buys a cabin, like a vacation cabin next to Elliot's home cabin. I guess that's his family home. And Macy and Elliot become friends, and they're like really close. And I'm gonna be honest, I love their friendship when they're young. I think that it was really important for Macy to have someone because she did go through a lot of, I guess she went through a lot of tribulations, and it was just nice to see her have someone that she can really connect to, because I feel like she didn't really have that at home. Well, we get to see them in the future where they no longer communicate, they don't know each other, they don't even know anything about each other. And eventually they see each other again at a coffee shop, and they kind of have to start answering those questions of what exactly happened and if it was worth them leaving and kind of going their separate ways. So we do find out what had happened, which was shocking and honestly was really devastating to me. There's 2 things that kind of go on that happened. The one thing I was like, okay, whatever, like that's so stupid, he's whatever. The second thing I was really devastated about, and I felt for Macy, and my heart broke for her. It was a 3-star book for me because of the fact that I guess one, I do really like childhood friends, like create that romance. I do like that. I feel like I'm a sucker for that because, so for example, we have It Ends With Us and Say You Still Love Me, which are 2 of my favorite books, and they are childhood to like lovers kind of get pulled apart. So yeah, I do really like that. But in this case, I guess I didn't really care for Macy as a grown-up. She's supposed to be like a doctor or resident trying to become a doctor. And I just felt like she was kind of dumb, and my problem with her was her lack of communication and accountability. I just felt like as someone who was an adult and who was supposed to be this really intelligent and like dependable person, really, she kind of stood her ground. I'm like, that was just lacking for me. I was kind of like, how do you not understand that you have to communicate with someone? And don't even get me started on that relationship she had. So yeah, Ellie, on the other hand, was really, I guess just kind of jumped into everything. I guess you would consider him to be really impulsive, and that kind of scared me. I don't really feel like someone that's impulsive can be reliable, especially when it comes to drastic, I guess, challenges. Yeah, I don't know. There were just so many things that were lacking for me in Macy and Elliot. I think my favorite part was them as kids. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, except the some of the things that happened in there that were kind of grown up. I was just kind of like, I don't know if I felt comfortable reading this, but yes, I still liked it. It's a fun book. It's Christina Lauren. I enjoyed it. So I also read Beautiful Bombshell and Beautiful Bitch from Christina Lauren. This is part of their Beautiful series. I ended up giving Beautiful Bitch a 3 out of 5 and Beautiful Bombshell a 2 out of 5. I enjoyed Beautiful Bitch because I really do like Chloe. I feel like she's one of my favorite characters from the Beautiful series. She's really strong and upfront, and I feel like she's kind of cutthroat. She gets shit done, and if she needs something or she wants something, she will stop at nowhere to get it. And Beautiful Bombshell, I felt like it was okay. Let's talk about Beautiful Bitch. So this one obviously has to do with Chloe and Bennett. They're already in their relationship. They're pretty comfortable, but they both work a lot, and they're moving their offices from Chicago to New York, and they're trying to take this vacation, and I enjoyed it. I like seeing them. They are my favorite couple. They go back and forth a lot. I feel like if Bennett can handle anyone, it's Chloe. My problem was the fact that a lot of it kind of and these are short stories, you guys, but a lot of it kind of relied on before them getting to vacation, like her being stuck. I forgot where she's stuck, but she's stuck somewhere. She can't get to the vacation, and none of it during the vacation. And I really wanted to vacation somewhere. I'm like, please show me what you guys are experiencing. And I think that's where it lagged for me. I get that it's a short story, but I felt like if we would have been able to experience their vacation a little bit more, that would have been really fun. But yeah, it was still really fun to kind of read on their relationship and see where they were at. And then we have Beautiful Bombshell, which is told by two of the guys' points of view. I believe it's Bennett and Max. Yeah, Max Stella. And Max is already with Sarah, and then Bennett's with Chloe. And I believe it's like during the bachelorette party of one of them. I'm not gonna say who because I don't want to spoil it. But it did nothing for me, honestly. It was really dumb. I did not care. The club scenes were pretty fun. I enjoyed that aspect of it. The guys are dumb. They're fun, you know. A lot of it was just really like two horny men kind of just talking about their girlfriends, and I was kind of like, okay, but I don't really care. So this one just did nothing for me, you guys. It was just fun to see them enjoy Vegas, but other than that, I felt like I could have gone without this. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is a little bit different. When I posted that I was reading this on Instagram, a lot of people were like, what is that? And that's Serial Killers and Mass Murderers by Nigel Cawthorne. And this is a profiles of the world's most barbaric criminals. This is really short, and it kind of goes into detail of a lot of different serial killers. So they literally talk about Ted Bundy, the Zodiac Killer, Son of Sam. They talk about all of these murderers, you know, and it's cool. It's for anyone that's trying to, that doesn't really know a lot about serial killers, but you kind of want to kind of start getting into it. I feel like this is a great book because it talks about everything that you already know. If you already know about serial killers, you'll know about this. It was just cool to kind of see it. It's literally a summary of the cases. Like, it literally was like this, like, it doesn't go into like details, but it can tell you, like, so this person went through this as a childhood, and then they ended up doing this, and then, you know, they got caught like doing this. So it's really cool. It's actually, no, it's not cool. But it's an easy read, and it's, again, if you're looking into possibly getting into reading about them but you don't know where to start, I feel like this is a good head start because you kind of get an overview of it. But if you're looking for a really detailed book where they talk about everything, then this is not it. But it's a good book, and I believe I gave it a 3 out of 5. Then we have The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, and this one I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. And I was really sad because I really enjoyed the proposal story, and I kind of was like really excited for this one, and it was a fun read. I'm gonna give it that. It was really fun to read about the characters. I think I was just disappointed. So this story here is the first, I believe, story of like her, I guess, like her stories. I don't even know how to describe it because they're not like continuations, but some of the characters do interlope. And the thing is, like, for example, I read the proposal first, and then if I would have read, and then I read this now, right? But I already kind of know about, because for example, Carlos from the proposal is in this story, and I felt like I already knew what had happened there. So it's not a big deal, but it's kind of cool if you read it in order. So in this one, we have Alexa and Drew. They meet in an elevator when they're stuck in the elevator in San Francisco. And Drew's there for a wedding and Alexa's there to see her sister. And they kind of get stuck in the elevator. They hit it off. He kind of was like, hey, you know what? Why don't you come to a wedding with me? So they do. And she has to pretend that she is Drew's girlfriend. And you know, she kind of starts to, they hit it off, they get along really well, and they kind of continue on this friendship slash friends with benefits. And eventually they know they have to stop it at some time, especially before it gets worse, because they're, like I said, they get along really well and they're pretty good friends. And yeah, Alexa, I liked Alexa. I felt like I enjoyed seeing her career.
It appears nothing is playing at the moment.
I forgot that that's I was like, who is talking to me? Okay, I like the main character in this story. I felt like I enjoyed seeing her career. I really wish that we would have been able to dive more into that, because I felt like that was so interesting to see. I also really enjoyed that she continued to have a good relationship with her sister, or like their relationship got stronger. I really enjoyed that. Drew did nothing for me, and if I'm being completely honest, he is not one of my favorite characters at all. I felt like he was arrogant, and I hated the way he spoke to Carlos. And I just felt like one of the things that I did enjoy was the fact that Alexa did hold Drew accountable of his privilege, and I felt like she did it. I feel like she could have done it a little bit better. Like, she could have gotten further with changing a couple of things that she said to him, but I still felt like it was necessary, and I like the fact that it was brought up in the story. But yeah, it's spicy, you know, it's good to see them kind of do all that. One of the things that I didn't like either was the fact that Drew kind of would say, like, I know her, I can understand her without even like hearing her speak. I can literally get what she's saying from just looking at her. Yet when it came to situations where Alexa was like, you're not understanding me, and Drew was like, what? I didn't even know this was happening. Like, I was like, this isn't making sense. And then Alexa was, oops, Alexa, stop. And the main girl A, she struggled with her body image, and I just felt like that kind of went nowhere. Like, she was like, oh, but he makes me feel beautiful. But yes, it was a really fast read for me. I was okay with it. Again, not my favorite. I feel like I'm talking a lot about books that were not my favorite, and I'm gonna be real, this month was rough because I didn't really like a lot of the books that I read. But let's talk about one of my favorite books, and this is gonna be a release that actually was a book release this month, and it was from Book of the Month that I got it, and that was The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. And oh my god, first off, I was like, please don't disappoint me. You look like you could be one of my favorite books this year, and it did not disappoint. I absolutely loved this book. It was a 4 out of 5 for me, and I'll talk a little bit about why I deducted some points. The main characters in this book, so it's told from a couple of different perspectives. First, it's told from Nella's point of view, and Nella is the apothecary owner back in, like, I don't even know, back then, you guys, like back in those days where it's rough out there in England. And she's an apothecary owner. The apothecary was originally owned by her mom, but she took it over. And she ends up providing poison to women. So Nella provides poison to them to take care of their business. So then we also have Eliza, who is a really young girl. She's kind of I guess a maid. She's kind of like the right hand person to a really rich person, and Eliza comes in to Nella's apothecary to get some poison for her, pretty much for her boss, her main lady. And one of the things that really stands out is that Eliza is so young. She's so smart though, and she carries herself very, like, she carries herself pretty well, and she instantly became my favorite character. I love Nella, but I felt like Eliza had something that, I guess, that childlike nature, you know, that Nella didn't have because she went through so much in her life. But Eliza was just literally like a ball of happiness for me. And then we have another character, which honestly, if I 200 years later, Caroline. So Caroline is like the present person telling the story, and I did not care about Caroline at all. Really, the only thing that intrigued me about Caroline was her job as a historian. Well, she wasn't a historian, but she had like a degree in history, and she took it upon herself to kind of uncover history in England while she was there on vacation. And I love that. I love to see her kind of exploring like London and its history, because you know it's rich, like the history is rich. And then she goes to like the London Library and she makes a friend there. It's just awesome. I love that aspect. I didn't care about her relationship. I did not care about her in general. She kind of was like a weird character. So that's why I deducted it a point, because a lot of it does have to do with her and her relationship. And I'm not gonna lie, when it came to that, I kind of was skimming forward because I was like, I don't care. Just tell me what you're doing with your history stuff. Like, what's your history homework here? I love that. I was living for that. But I think what really made it up for me was the going back into the history of Eliza and Nella and the Apothecary and all of that completely. Oh, I loved it. So yeah, it's an amazing book. It's definitely one of my favorites this year, and I'm so happy I read this one. The next book that was a completely, like, I fell in love with it. It was a 5 out of 5 for me. That was A Mountain Sings by Nguyen Pai Kumai. And oh my god, I love this book. This is a book that my friends and I, we have our little own book club. We decided to read this one for this month. And let me just tell you up front, it is devastating. Like, as soon as you go into the book, it's devastating. It's told from 2 points of views. It's by, one of them is a grandma's point of view and her journey of leaving the northern part of Vietnam during the land reform and everything she lost throughout the way. And then the other point of view is told during the present, well, during 1970s, during the Vietnam War. It's told from the granddaughter's point of view. Again, it's devastating because we're seeing 2 women struggle a lot. We're seeing the grandma struggling during her escape from the land reform because she was a landowner, and then we're seeing Huang, which is a granddaughter, kind of tell her point of view of the Vietnam War and the bomb shelters and her parents being at war and all of that. And it's hard and it's really raw. The emotions that you're getting from these characters, like, it really broke my heart. I cried, I'm not gonna lie, I cried from like chapter 2 to like chapter, I don't even know, almost towards the end. I did cry in the end because it did finish on a good note, and I felt like it was just what you needed, because I'm not gonna lie, the book was, oh, I already said that so many times, but the book was really devastating. So it's good that it finished on a positive note. Even though you see these characters go through so much, and it's so hard to fathom that these 2 women are trying to survive a war that they have absolutely nothing to do with. And I mean, how many times have we heard this? How many times have we heard, oh, I'm gonna start crying, these people like who barely have enough, kind of have to survive in a really rough world. And okay, so to be positive, I love the grandma. I feel like she was an angel, and I feel like a lot of family members have that one person in their life that kind of just is there no matter what, and you're kind of like in those positions where you're like, we're never going to survive this, yet somehow they make it possible. The grandma would never let anything happen to the granddaughter, and oh my god, the grandma did so many things to survive, and I was just like, go grandma. And Huang, the younger girl, we see her go from like 12 years old to 18 years old, and it's beautiful. I loved her. I felt like she became an amazing person, and she's probably one of my favorite characters ever. I felt like she was strong and she was smart, and even when she did not understand, she made a mistake, she would kind of look back on it and kind of see where she went wrong. So I enjoyed this book. I loved it. The writer did an amazing job. I believe it was her first English book, and I felt like she wrote beautifully. A lot of it was very poetic, and there was a lot of connection between nature, because I mean, it is Vietnam, you guys. They have beautiful mountains and all these things. And I felt like it was really nice to see that connection between them and their nature and the birds, and it's beautiful. So I highly recommend this book. Let's talk about my biggest disappointment this month. And you guys are probably gonna hate me if you read this book. I was so sad. That's gonna be Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And I am so sorry, but you guys, I did not enjoy this book. I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5. And I'm so sorry, don't hate me. I struggled with this book. So it took me literally like 3 weeks to finish this book because I could not pick it up. Like, I forced myself to read it, and it was an okay book. Okay, it's told from Alex's point of view, and Alex is the first son of the United States, so his mom became president, and that's cool. I loved it. I actually really enjoyed hearing his stories about being at work. And then we see Harry, who is a prince of England, and they kind of are like hate to love rivals. And okay, I could not connect to Alex at all. Like, at all. I did not like him. I felt like he was very arrogant. I felt like he was just kind of this character who was like, well, you owe me this, and why? Like, why do they owe you that? You know what I mean? I cannot comprehend him in any sort of way. And he irritated me. I'm sorry. Then Alex is half Mexican, half white, and I'm Mexican American. I love to read Mexican characters and stories when it's done right. And I felt like this was so corny to me. Like, as a Mexican, you have a lot of connections to Mexican culture. Vicente Fernandez, I get it. You know what I mean? He's one of the most famous singers out there. And I felt like they were going with the most basic stuff, like, oh, we're listening to Chente. And I'm like, Mexican people listen to other Mexican, singers besides Vicente Fernandez. And by the way, Vicente Fernandez, you only really listen to when you're hella drunk. So, I mean, and then there was like, I just felt like the Mexican parts of it were just not done right for me. I was just kind of like rolling my eyes at them. I was like, oh my God, you could have easily done this differently. And I could not connect to that at all. And that's coming from someone that loves Mexican characters. Like, I honestly, like Carlos from The Proposal, I felt like that was perfect because they're not trying to push it in your face that they're connected to their culture. They do it in subtle ways. And I felt like this author maybe felt like she wanted to bring that more in because this was a Mexican American family. Well, the mom's not Mexican, she's full white, but the kids are Mexican American. I just felt like you pushed it too much and it was just not working for me. And Alex was just not working for me. And I loved Harry. I loved the character, hands down. I love the email aspects of the story when they were emailing back and forth. And I did like the ending. But again, I just did not connect to the main character, Alex, and I did not like his little Mexican American input in there. I'm so sorry that I didn't like this book, you guys, but after this book, I had massive reading slump. Like, I could not get into reading any more books. I had like 4 books I kept picking up and dropping because I forced myself to read this one. So I'm sorry. Okay, another book that I read that was a 5 out of 5 for me, and that was The Green Mile by Stephen King. And whew, you guys, wow. I mean, this book was amazing. It was an audiobook. First of all, narrated. So I don't remember who narrated the book, but it was a really famous voice actor. And I'll put the name here because wow, like wow, beautiful narration and beautiful storytelling. Like, I want to start crying from this book. Oh my God, if you guys, it's hot in here. First of all, the book was beautifully told. So the main character, Paul, I believe that's his name, Paul. I didn't even take down notes. He is like the main boss of this department, and I'm just gonna say this is a really heavily character-driven book. The characters make the story. So Paul obviously is in charge of the executions, and he's a really nice character. And then his life kind of just takes a turn when he meets a guy named John Coffey, who's there to get executed for the murder of two young girls. Oh, I don't even know how far I can go into this book without spoiling, but let me just tell you guys that this story, I'm gonna cry. It is so beautiful, and John Coffey, oh my God. Wow. Um, Stephen King, I mean, I can literally, this is my second book by Stephen King, but this book completely blew my mind. And I can definitely see how he is who he is, because this book, like the details, you can literally picture everything. The characters are amazing in this book. The storytelling, it's funny, it's sad, it gets you angry. Like, it is a beautiful book. And honestly, if I can recommend it to anyone, like you guys, if you guys like read any of my books, I highly recommend this book. It is so crazy. Then right after I finished the book, I ended up watching the movie, and I mean, it's great. Tom Hanks, amazing. Um, it's a great book. And it's a great movie. So I cannot, honestly, I cannot say good enough things about this book. It completely blew my mind. It definitely is one of my favorite books I've ever read. And Stephen King is amazing. And this book is just so, it's so good, you guys. I swear, you guys will not be disappointed if you read this. I have to mix it up a little bit because I have another disappointing book, and that is The Couple Next Door by Sherry LaPena, and this is a 2 out of 5 for me. So this story has to do with two characters named Anne and Marco, who are kind of, you know, living a great life. They have a great house in New York, and they just had their daughter, and they go out to dinner with their friends next door. And when dinner is over, they kind of find out that a crime has been committed, and everybody's pointing the fingers at them. Um, yeah, this book lacked in so many ways. Like, one, the detective was an asshole, and I get it, you're doing your job. But if I was in their situation and the detective was not looking at everything possible, I would be livid. And I know that that's a really common problem when it comes to crimes. You know, sometimes they get tunnel vision and they only go one way. But I felt like it lacked in so many ways. Like, I don't know who we were supposed to root for. Like, I honestly have no idea. The mom was dumb, and I mean, I know she was going through a really hard time after giving birth. I get that. They didn't make her a likable character. Then we have Marco, the dad, who was literally just so dumb. And okay, so my thing about the story was that there was no details. It was just kind of like Marco said this, and then Anne said that, and then the detective said this, and I'm just kind of like, what? And there's like a part where they're kind of out, not exploring, but you know, Marco takes a drive, and they literally forgot we were in New York. Like, there's no attention to detail. There's no, like, nothing, honestly, nothing. These characters are so bland. They're just kind of he said, she said, they said, she said, you know, and I'm just kind of like, what is going on here? Then we kind of find out what happens through the middle of the story, and obviously towards the end there's still a plot twist, but I'm kind of like, whatever. I'm so sorry. Like, my friend Victoria and I were talking about this, and we were like, what is this? Yeah, let's end this video on a good note, because again, after I finished reading Red, White, and Royal Blue, I got into a major reading slump, which I could not pick up a book for the next couple of days, and I kept forcing myself to read, and I just could not. So I was like, what can I do to get myself out of a reading slump? And yes, I picked up It Is With Us by Colleen Hoover. And you guys know this is my absolutely favorite Colleen book. It's one of my all-time favorite books ever. So I read it in about a day and a half, and I am back into reading, baby, because this book got me in my feels. Like, I literally, now I kind of want to read maybe someday again, because when I first read it, I actually never listened to the audio, like the audio track. I don't know, like they have like a little they have like a station for it, or I don't know, they have like some music you can listen to, and I didn't do that the first time around. So I was like, I think I'm gonna read maybe someday and listen to the music at the same time. But yeah, you guys, I mean, do I need to talk to you guys about this book, or do you guys already know? This book has to do with Lily, who kind of is, she's living her life in Boston. She left her life in Maine behind. It's during her time in Boston where she meets a sexy neurosurgeon named Ryle. And he is like everything she's ever wanted. The only thing is he wants nothing serious. He literally is like, nope, I don't want anything serious. I'm just looking for a girl that I can bang and go. But Lily's like, I'm not the one. So yeah, it's awesome. I love it. Obviously there's some more to it. I mean, I can't even go into detail because I will probably spoil it. It's an amazing book. It's a life-changing. Lily is one of my favorite female characters ever. I feel like she's so strong, and I love her and her mom's like relationship. I mean, Atlas, do I need to say more? It's not a love triangle story. I know a lot of people think that because it is mentioned that she kind of goes into her box where she looks at her memories of her and her first love, Atlas, and then she ends up seeing Atlas in Boston. It's more about Lily and the challenges that she faces in life, which are devastating. But again, she's a strong character and she knows what she needs to do. So yeah, you guys, if you guys ever want to read this book, I encourage you to. And that is it for today. I lost count of how many books I read, but I hope that you guys like some of these. Please do not hate me for not liking Red, White, and Royal Blue. But I hope that you guys enjoy these videos. I felt like this was really long. So I hope that I see you guys in my next video. Please comment down below letting me know what other books you would like me to read or what videos you would like me to make. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.